Live, the spy that saved the Union, Felix Grundy Stidger. Hey everybody, this is Colonel Carson with Family Tree Nuts, and I'm in Taylorsville, Kentucky, and I got some guests with me today. Want to tell them who you are, sir?
Arnie Mueller.
Arnie Mueller and
Bonnie Downs.
Bonnie Downs. And we're in front of a house you can kind of see. We'll walk around, come with me. We're in front of a house that's kind of dilapidated, but it has an amazing history, doesn't it, sir?
It sure does.
So whose house is this?
This was Felix Grundy Stidger's birth home.
They can't hear you.
Felix Grundy Stidger's birth home from 1836.
Felix Grundy Stidger. Now, who is that?
He was came to be the top spy during the Civil War.
Yeah. So he lived here with his parents. I think his father passed away at a very early age.
He did, 2 years after Stidger was born, and that left his mother alone with two boys, and it started Stidger's life, basically.
Yeah, so he at a young age, at 15, he's working in the county courthouse, and then he moves. He becomes a carpenter and moved to, what is it, Bloomington?
Bloomington, yes. He worked there as a carpenter and as a clerk in a hardware store.
Bloomfield.
Bloomfield.
Yeah, we both messed that up. Yeah, Bloomington's Indiana, right? But Bloomfield, and he worked as a carpenter. We may have to walk around because that daggone barking dog is back. He's back. We may have to move a little bit. But Bloomfield was all about the Stars and Stripes, right?
No, not really. It was Confederate.
Big time. We're in the middle of the street. Here we go. Let's move over here a little bit. Let's walk around the house a little bit here too. So it was very Confederate. I think you said there was 450 people in that town, right?
Yeah, and there was only 3 that were really Union.
3 out of 450. And I guess he lived with a gentleman that owned a hardware store. And Stidger worked with him, and he snuck out in the middle of the night to, well, let me back up. He said he got tired of them taking the Confederate flag and shoving it down his throat. So he secretly left in the middle of the night and joined the Union. Let's walk over here to that stupid dog. He keeps barking again. I don't know if you can hear that dog, guys. Blaine says the dog adds character. I mean, man, come on, put that thing away. But you can see the house back here. We're going to talk some more about Stidger, but I'm going to get you close up here real quick. Notice the chinking and stuff that they got there. It's a log cabin, you know, with the clapboard siding that was built over top of it. And I don't think we can probably go inside, but it's like somebody broke in back there, didn't they? So Stidger joins the Union, and he serves in a couple of battles, doesn't he?
That's right. He served in 3 different battles at Perryville and Stones River and Chickamauga.
Chickamauga. How do you pronounce that properly? I'm not exactly sure.
I think that's the way it's pronounced.
That's a Cherokee word, I think, isn't it? But so it was 1862 when he joined. 1864, he gets word that his mom is sick.
Yeah, and so they gave him a hardship discharge and send him home.
Yeah, he got to go home. He's honorable, but he gets home. Mom's sick. Him and his brother's taking care of him. He gets a little bit of some pay when he got out.
Right.
And something really bad happened, didn't it?
Yeah, he went to the drugstore to buy some drugs, and the people there
went
was
to buy drugs. Oh, yeah, you are from up north there.
Yeah,
so
right. But anyway, he went in to buy medication for his mother. And while he was there was some Confederates in there who saw him with that amount of money. He had a kind of a stash of money from his discharge. And they followed him home, broke into the house, and took the money away from him and left.
Stole his money. Pascal Bailey says Arnie is the best. So she says that on there. So they stole his money. And now he doesn't have money for his mom and her medicine.
That's correct.
Hey, Tracy Clevenger says it's Chickamauga. Chickamauga is the proper pronunciation. So, hey, we learned. Thanks for that, Tracy. And they stole the money for his mother's medicine. And what happened to Mom?
Well, about a week after this altercation happened, she passed away.
That would really tick a guy off.
Yeah, it did.
You
I
know?
think it was probably one of the main reasons he did what he did.
So he goes to Louisville looking for work, and he meets with, what's the gentleman's name? Captain
Jones,
Jones.
who's a provost marshal, and he offers him a job as a spy.
Yeah.
And after some consideration, he decided to take it.
So you said he's a spy. So what is he trying to infiltrate? Walk a little bit. You say there was an organization called the Knights of the Golden Circle.
That's correct.
And that's a Copperhead organization. Mr. Mueller, what's a Copperhead?
The Copperhead was a nickname they gave to the... yes, they were actually the northern version of Confederates. And they've adopted that nickname, and I don't know why, but...
Well, there's a story there about them being like a snake or something. It was supposed to be a derogatory name, but like so many other derogatory names, people embrace those sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Hey, if you don't mind, Pascal, could you tell us if we got audio this time? This is the third attempt at this one, so somebody let us know if you can hear us. And I see you, John, you're watching there. But so the Copperheads were Democrats in the North that wanted to throw out the Republican Lincoln government up there. So, yeah, Pascal says, yes, we got sound. All right,
Okay,
this time.
good.
So let's walk around here, see if we can avoid that dog barking. So the Knights of the Golden Circle, Mr. Bowles, was coming to Kentucky to organize some more of these folks.
Yeah, they didn't have any hierarchy in Kentucky, so they wanted to appoint people to do it. And he was in charge of basically the whole thing, so he wanted to come down. In the meantime, Stidger went up to see him, and they gave the job to Stidger.
Yeah, so he infiltrated there. He became like one of the top guys, the most trusted fellas.
That's right.
And I think that what was their goal, the Knights of the Golden Circle? I mean, well, I know it was to overthrow the government, but they had big plans.
Yeah, they did. Really, what they wanted to do, if they could start a war around Chicago and going south into Indiana, they thought that would be what it would take to make the Union come to the bargaining table, and they could bargain their way out of the war.
Yeah, they just wanted to just end it, just get it over with.
That's correct.
And
yeah.
I think they were going to try to release some prisoners.
That's right. They had 75,000 prisoners that they were going to release or break out of the jail outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
But they never got to do that. But they had very big plans, and I think if they would have, they could have made the Union come to the bargaining table, and it would have made a whole different thing. They probably would have been able to keep their slaves too.
Yeah, probably so. And then I think though that Judge Bullitt there in Louisville was a big part of that, and he had worked with a chemist to get some fire bombs and things like that.
Yeah, it was called Greek fire, and they could plant this in boats down in the bottom where nobody would see it, and it would burn like for 12 hours before it finally burned enough that it would start a fire, and they took care of a couple of boats that were in the harbor in Louisville.
And I think their plan was to launch it out on July the 4th, Independence Day, 1864, but something happened and they weren't able to launch it that day.
Yeah, the
General.
yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, buddy, he's a popular guy over where I live. Yeah. But General John Hunt Morgan.
Right, that's correct. John Hunt Morgan,
the thunderbolt of the Confederacy,
had gotten captured at that time, and that he was supposed to be one of the main people to get this thing going. But with him out of the way, they had to put it off, and they closed in on the men then after that and arrested everybody that was involved.
Yeah, Mr. Was it the Judge Bullitt? Didn't he go to Canada and he got bags and bags of gold, I guess, kind of thing as a donation?
He had a bag. They estimated it was $5,000 in gold in a bag.
Wow!
And he came back, and when him and Stidger were on their way to Louisville with the buggy, the military came and arrested both of them, and put them in jail.
They sure did. He arrested them together, so that there's cars coming. They arrested them together so that they didn't have any suspicions.
That's correct.
As to what they really were doing.
They didn't want it known that Stidger was involved in this particular episode, so they put him in jail with the rest of the Confederates.
And he stayed in character.
He stayed in character
and they
until
moved
the
him,
day of the trial.
And they moved him around to all these different jails.
Right.
And for a little bit at a time. But while he did, he got more information about what was going on. And I'm trying to get a different angle for everybody. And so they got more information, and there was even more people arrested.
That's correct. It ended up 100 total were arrested for this particular incursion.
Wow, 100 people. He brought down a huge operation, didn't he?
He did. They stopped it in its tracks.
Marcia asked, did anything happen there with John Mosby?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, gotcha. And so he goes to jail. They go to trial. He stays in character, but the day of the trial, the key witness is
Felix Grundy Stidger. And when he walks into the courtroom, what had been a joyous group of Confederates got completely numb. There was no more talking, and they got down to serious work.
He spilled the beans and said, here's what's going on. The guy that they trusted, you know, one of their leaders,
he was the secretary of the Kentucky unit.
Well, you'd think they'd have done a little bit of investigation and found out he had already been in the war for the last 2 years, wearing blue, you know. So, but I guess a bunch of the people were sentenced to life in prison, but eventually got out. Judge Bullitt and Dr. Bowles got sentenced to death, but that got reduced to life in prison. And you said that case actually eventually got dropped, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, due to the fact that these men were arrested and they weren't in uniform. And they were tried in a military court, and that was what saved them. It went to the Supreme Court, and they said you have to try them in a civilian court.
Yeah, absolutely. And that case was used for something today, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. When Barack Obama, they wanted him to bring the Arabs from Guantanamo Bay up. And
the POW prisoners.
The POW prisoners, but they said they couldn't try them in a military court. They would have had to try them in a civilian court, and that's what stopped that. So they're still all sitting down there now yet.
Interesting.
But that was because of the...
this case.
This case. I guess you'd call it the adjudication of the case against Stidger. And
then Stidger comes back home here to Taylorsville, and everybody loves him around here, right?
Yeah, he wanted to stay here, but it was learned that there was a $10,000 bounty out on his hide, so he started moving north. He ended up in Chicago, where he died in 1908.
Yeah, died in 1908. He has a headstone up there. Do you want to talk about that headstone? Or?
Yeah, Joe Bowen from our board had went up and checked it out and found his gravestone, and it was only a little 20-inch stone. But 100 feet away was a monument to the Confederate soldiers that was 40 feet high.
Wow, by there.
Yeah, it kind of gave you a bad feeling.
Yeah, because there's a guy that did something so great right there, just a little monument, though.
Right,
but so what's going on with this house? You know, this is his house. It's a couple hundred years old. As you can see, we walked you around it. It's pretty dilapidated. You said it was a rental property up till 10 years or so, and it's vacant and condemned. But what's going on? You guys got something going on with it, don't you?
Well, we're working. We're trying to get some grants written to get the money together to fix up the area and put this building back in its original 1830 condition. It'd
be a great museum, wouldn't it?
Right.
Just the right size.
If anybody wants to help out, if they go to StidgerCabin1830.org, and you can find out more about the Stidger House and how you can help us save this piece of history.
And that's Stidger, Stidger.
That's correct, yes.
StidgerCabin1830.org.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Mueller, thank you so much for bringing us here to this neat little off-the-beaten-path historical thing here of somebody's home that was absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you.
Marcia said Taylorsville is just down the road from her, so you can come take a look at it too. Get your picture made with it. So, but anything else you'd like to add at all?
Not at all. But I'm very grateful to you for doing this. We need the publicity.
Absolutely, it's a wonderful thing, and we'll check it out. Make sure you check out our edited version. It'll be out here very shortly. You go to Family Tree Nuts, our YouTube channel. That's what it'll be. If you like these videos, subscribe to those videos and such. And we've got a few more videos we're going to shoot today. So.
All right.
Mr. Mueller, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, and remember, family tree nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.